What's up, Bladers? This is Casual Beybladeorx, and today we got lost and stumbled upon another tournament. So, Banana Games is still running their first place qualifier, but this time, there's a bit of a switch up with the location. The tourney is being hosted by Banana, but it's being played at Claw Me Baby, still in Toronto by Finch & Young. If you're in the area, come check them out. They regularly host TCG events and will be hosting Beyblade weeklies. Connect with them on their Discord for times, dates, and everything else. Enough of the preamble, let's get into the deck I was using for this tournament. So unfortunately, Golem's been benched. But only till I get my hands on the blue 770 from the Infinity Stadium. The first pick is Hover Wyvern on 960 Rush. A combo I've actually run before in a tournament, but without any prior practice. 960 takes away any burst risk, and I know Kick is often paired with Hover, at least in North America, for that extra endgame stamina, but I thought I'd play towards its strength and stick with an attack type bit, especially with Rush, allowing for those extra rail rides. Next, we have the one and only Wizard Rod 160 Hexa. If you've been living under a bridge, this combo has been easily dominating the meta recently. 160 helps with pocket escapes, while Hexa allows for some amazing aggressive play if you want to lean that way while still being able to turtle up and win most cases in a stamina finish. It's honestly a scary one. And in the last spot, I went with Shark Skill 770 Low Rush. Shark has been pummeling its way through the meta in an insanely short period of time, replacing the likes of Phoenix Wing, Aero Pegasus, and Tyranno Bee. 770 gives Shark an extra bit of weight that allows it to stay in the stadium, especially when it's paired with a bit that excels as fast as Low Rush, saving you from an unfortunate self-extreme. Low Rush also evens out that extra height from 770. Shark has some great smash attacks, so having it at an average height is probably the best. I don't know if you've clued in yet, but this is the exact same deck as the winner of the 2025 Beyblade World Championships. This was the exact deck setup Faradeen used to win it all. So I wanted to put these combos to the test and see how far they could take me in a tournament. You'll notice that the setup he runs is what I've mentioned as a balance type deck before, with 2 attacks and 1 defense/stamina combo. If you watch Faradeen, you'll see that he changes up his order based on his opponent and the bays they might be running. This is where the Yomi begins. Anyone unfamiliar with the term? Let's take you across the pond to the FGC. Yomi, to read your opponent's intentions and counter them. This is a very vital part of Beyblade tournaments that I feel like gets lost in the battle sometimes. The way you order and rearrange your deck during shuffles can make or break a set. So you have to not only focus on the technique, but also the Yomi aspect and try to understand what your opponent will be thinking. But none of that matters here, because I'm not playing at a high stakes world championship level. It's just something to keep in mind if you want to play with a competitive spirit. It's also a good way to just keep sharp. I mention this because throughout the whole tournament, I always started my matches with Hover on point, Wizard as mid, and then Shark as my anchor, regardless of who my opponent was and what bays they had. My strategy was an oldie but goldie. Start with your wildest and most explosive attacker, wall up with my stamina defense, and then clean it up with my reliable attacker. A tried and true formula for a good deck comp. On the reshuffle, I might look back at what they were running and go from there, aka Yomi. Oh, also, if you want to join tournaments with some of the newest and best releases out there, head over to the sponsor of the channel, Mall of Toys. They've got you with pre-orders of bays yet to be released and those that are dominating right now. You can use my code CASUAL at checkout for 5% off your orders. Alright, that's enough yapping, let's get into these battles. Let's do a mentality and goal check. Mentally, I was actually a little more confident than usual. I made 13th last week after a month-and-a-half hiatus, so I was more locked in than I usually am for these tournament videos. My goal today is to implement what I observed and learned from Faradin's gameplay. Another goal was taking it back to the basics. I decided to forego the Beyblade grips and battle pass for just the basic winder and a bare claw grip. I felt that these extra accessories were bogging me down last week, so I wanted to try without them. I am now ready for this tournament. But just before that, let me run down the rules quickly. 6 Swiss rounds, first to 4 points. No repeating parts, loser chooses sides. Top cut is single elimination, first to 7 points. Full punish rules are in effect. That means pockets, extremes, and burst finishes are all counted even with no contact. Just a heads up, there'll be different point of views and awkward camera angles. I was a little too locked in to check my camera at times. Sorry in advance. Round 1 begins with my hover versus Shark on what looks like low orb. A build I've actually seen a few people do really well with. Hover vs Shark isn't really my favorite matchup. It's one that Shark usually takes. Good launches. Hover gets the initial hit, sending Shark around the stadium. Hover with the failed extreme into the pickup and sends Shark to the pocket. The unfortunate downside of low orb, it wants to be in the center, opening it up for extreme and pockets. Next we have Wizard vs Pegasus Blast. This is a matchup I'm very confident in. Blast on attack could do some damage, but even then, if you hold on, you can get the spin. He stuffs my drop launch, sending me into the middle. He hits me into the reverse X, funny enough. Some good hits that seem to destabilize Blast. At this point, unless Hexa bugs out, I have the spin finished. Third match, we have my Shark vs Wizard on ball or free ball. It's kind of hard to tell, but definitely not on Hexa. High instant transmission right behind him, sending Wizard flying into the pocket, putting me up 1-0. Not a bad start. A W for the first round is always a good motivator. Let's get into round 2. My hover versus Shark on level.
3, 2, 1, go shoot!
Massive first hit that pockets me instead of him, but forgets hover's secret ability. Okay, so this had to go through the judges and be reviewed. It was ruled in my favor, giving me the lead of 3-0. Hover was literally side face. How it popped out is beyond me. Next match, Wizard vs Attack Wizard on low rush. Attack Rod instantly extreme dashes and barely misses me, only to tap me, causing some wild and uncontrollable movement, leaving me vulnerable for a 2-hit combo into the extreme pocket, tying the match at 3-3. For the third match, it's Shark vs Pegasus Blast. A matchup I personally love. Nothing more gratifying than seeing Shark pummel a big body big. So instantly, this was called an air contact. We did play it through and I took the spin. So I had some reassurance about the reshoot. We run it back. And unfortunately for my opponent, we both missed the initial hits, sending him into the pocket where he can't escape, giving me a 2-0 record going into the third round. We start round 3 with Hover vs Soul Eclipse. Not a bait I've played very often against. But just like Shark, I'm pretty confident that Hover can take the big body bays. Both make contact. Hover almost pockets Soul off the bat. Soul manages to escape, but with a heavy lean, Hover stays aggressive and ends up finishing the job. So this one also went to review. What looks like an extreme for me ends up only being a spin finish. From a different angle and slowed down, you can see that Soul stops spinning before I knock it into the extreme pocket. So that's a single point for me. Next is Wizard vs Pegasus Blast. Again, unless something unpredictable happens, I'll take this in the late game with a spin finish. I go for a false drop launch here, thinking he might be a little more aggressive. So far an evasive match. Blast starts going on the offensive, but is quickly told to know its place and ricochets into the pocket. Next, Shark vs Shark. Ooh, a bad launch by me. His Shark ends up sniping the 770 and bursting me. I really exposed the Ratchet with that one. It's been noted going forward though. We reshuffle our decks and it ends up being my Wizard versus his Blast again. Exactly the matchup I was hoping for. Should be able to secure the spin and take the W. This time I do predict the aggressive launch and my false drop works. Massive first contact. A massive second hit that causes Wizard to go wild and around the stadium. This is not looking good now. I've lost way too much stamina trying to regain my composure. Every hit's draining more and more. This just comes with the territory of Hexa. Most of the time it's good, but there's those one-off cases. Next is the rematch between Sharks. The first two hits almost lead to a pocket, some failed extreme dashes, until my opponent connects and almost extremes me. This could be anyone's game. But alas, my Shark loses steam before his, putting me at 2-1. First loss of the day, nothing we can't recover from. For round 4 we have Hover vs Phoenix Wing. My opponent gets a good stall, while I let out a bunch of uncontrolled dashes. Phoenix fails its own dash, into Hover catching its recovery and sending it into the pocket. Next, my Wizard vs Wolf on Taper. I can respect an aggressive attack combo on Wolf, but I think I'll have this in the bag if I can survive the early hits. Decent launches. Wolf misses what could have been a deadly extreme dash. It's honestly putting in work trying to attack Wizard. Almost got my Wizard going crazy again. But in the end, I take the spin finish. Next, my Shark vs Wizard on Hexa. Explosive start. I instantly escape the pocket, only to find myself back in it. This ends up being called an air contact, so we redo it. But it doesn't really matter anyways, because I self-pocket. That's unfortunate. We reshuffle and it's my Hover vs Wolf. Good launches. We both end up stalling. I release first, missing the first dash, connecting the second, third, and self-extreming with the fourth. Unfortunate. This puts us at 2-2. We're gonna have to lock in if we want to make top cut now. Moving on to the 5th round, we have a Hover match. Not the best launch for me, leaving me dancing in the middle. Extreme scare, into a pocket instead, into a reverse pocket. Opponent makes it out, but with little to no stamina left. My Hover delivers a few extra hits to end its misery. Next, we have a Wizard Mirror. I got such a nice off-screen stall into nothing. Pretty tame hits from both of us. Oh, I spoke too soon. The match just heated up. Honestly, the way my wizard's been playing all day, it's got me scared. Hoping I didn't just lose a lot of stamina. Ooh, it's starting to look good for me. And with that, I take the spin finish. Next, we have Shark vs. Shark on what I think is level. I go for a false drop that gives me a massive initial hit, into a failed extreme dash, into a successful extreme dash, sending my opponent into the pocket, giving me my third win, making it 3-2 now. We'll start round 6 with hover vs. hover. I go for a very aggressive tilt launch. We do a couple little taps. Oof, into a massive hit, sapping all my opponent's stamina. And like the beast hover is, it's not satisfied with just a spin finish. That was brutal. Next, we have wizards on deck. Big hits. Jeez, what a back and forth, causing both wizards to travel the world. Some heavy hits that are going in my favor. My opponent's wizard looks very destabilized. Even then, the wizard match is going the distance. I happen to end the match with a little more stamina, giving me the spin finish. Ending the Swiss rounds, leaving me at 4-2. After all the scores were tallied, I made it out of rounds at 12th place, which meant I made it into the top 16 and into the top cut. Without further ado, let's get into my first top cut match. So in an odd turn of events, I end up getting a run back with the opponent who gave me my first loss, starting off with my hover versus Shark scale. I go for an aggressive launch to the top corner, a small love tap by Shark that possesses it and jumps itself into the pocket, giving me the lead. Next, we have Wizard vs. Blast. Like I mentioned, it's a matchup I'm confident in. Wizard should take it most of the time. Just some small hits to start off. Wizard gets blasted! What? The escape! Like the magician it is! Wizard is not giving up easily. There's no way. Wizard comes back from the brink of death and gives me the spin finish. Moving on to Shark vs. Soul Eclipse on level. Massive hit. Shark is getting bullied. Nothing is working. Soul has put up an impenetrable wall. I'm usually so confident in Shark being the aggressor and toppling the big base. And I lose to a spin finish. That was a tough one. We reshuffle and I decide to go with Shark again, only to get the run back against Soul. My game plan is to just rip a little more powerful and tilt, trying to destabilize Soul. A lot of back and forth. A much better round from Shark. But Soul squeezes out the spin finish. So unfortunate for Shark. I honestly thought I had that. Yet another run back. Wizard vs. Blast. You'll see I purposely slingshotted my wizard to try to catch the rebound of Blast, and it almost worked and got me the extreme. But Big Body Blast escapes with no problem. With the level of calm now, I can almost guarantee I'll take the round. Yep, with that, I take the spin finish. We literally just reversed our deck order because it's another run back. Hover versus Shark. Shark catches me on the rail. I retaliate, with Shark's having none of that and cleanly sends me into the extreme pocket. Reshuffle again, with my Hover versus his Shark going at it again. I'm a little more confident this time since I have the B side of the stadium. I send it with an aggressive tilt launch, and with the first hit, Hover bursts Shark redemption. Next we got Wizard vs Blast. Good launches. Small initial hit, but it sets me up for a reverse X dash. This stall is letting me conserve stamina while Blast dashes and loses a bunch of its own. Wizard sends Blast into the pocket, escapes but straight into the wall that is Wizard Rod, giving me the spin finish and the match. We move on to round 2 of the top cut. Okay, so I forgot to record this match entirely. Luckily, the judge that was judging was recording as well. He passed this footage on to me, so bless him and thank him. But even then, the first round was not filmed. It's somewhere in the ether now. It was a Hover vs Hover match in which I got the extreme finish. I would just imagine it being the most epic, dramatic, and anime levels of hype. I just assume. We move on. That puts me at a lead of 3-0. The next match we have Wizard vs Wizard.
3, 2, 1, go shoot.
My opponent's Wizard goes absolutely wild in the stadium, almost pocketing me in the process. And when I think it's getting calm, I get deflected into the pocket and have no stamina to continue. Moving on to my Shark vs Phoenix Wing. I really liked my launch in this match, but with no rhyme or reason, my Shark goes out of control and into the pocket. We reshuffle and I go with Hover vs his Shark. My opponent gets such a nice stall, but luckily it doesn't connect with much force. Some big back and forth hits. Hover's really trying, but every hit is draining its spin. Doesn't look good for Hover. And I lose to the spin finish. I just let the lead slip away. I need to lock back in. Next, we have our Wizards facing off again. I go for a much more aggressive launch this time, almost getting pocketed, but Wizard claps back and sends my opponent into the pocket. Let's go! Next up, we have Hover vs Shark. Shark tries to stall. Oh, Phoenix almost pocketing itself. What a little tap into the extreme pocket. Shark taking my ass to the semi-finals. Another match, another forgetful me. Luckily, another judge had footage and sent it over to me. Big thanks, he knows who he is. Starting the match off with Hover vs Shark. Good launches. Shark travels around the world and finally makes contact. Hover uses its special ability, nearly missing another hit from Shark. Hover heavily leaning. It's not looking great. Or so I thought. Hover comes out with the spin finish. Next we have Wizard vs Hover. I went with a heavy tilt. And with one single good hit, I send my opponent into the pocket. Finishing the rotation, we have Shark vs Wizard. Shark is going wild. Getting some insane hits. Shark literally unleashed everything it had in this battle. Wow, right down to the second. Insanely close, but after review, the spin was given to me. Next, we have Wizard vs Hover. Again, I launch with a steep tilt. This is specifically to counter Hover. And I get a nice reverse X stall. Good thing I did because Hover could have destroyed me with that X dash. At this point, Hover is already gassed, and without a lucky hit, none of these smaller hits are gonna do much against Wizard. I take the spin finish. Next, we have my hover versus Shark. Getting some good initial hits. Sent into the pocket, barely making it out, but at the cost of a lot of stamina. I'm sent right back into the same pocket. Moving on, we have Shark versus Wizard. One good hit into the pocket, sending me to the grand finals. This climb has been unreal. I just have one more game to go. Of course, I start off with hover versus Wizard on Hexa.
3, 2, 1, go, go!
Good launches. My opponent gets a really nice reverse X stall. Luckily, I'm just out of range for a big hit. Hover gets a 3-piece but doesn't have enough change for the soda, leaving it real low on the attack power and stamina. Brutal, but that's how it goes against Wizard sometimes. I lose to the spin finish. Next, we have my Wizard versus Shark Scale. I barely dodged the snipe from my opponent, still getting me on the come down. Shark is pummeling my Wizard. These are heavy hits. And damn, right into the pocket. Hard to predict that. Ejected myself out of the game. Going to the last base in the rotation, Shark versus Arrow Pegasus. I should have this one in the bag. Shark handles Arrow pretty well in my opinion. A missile of a launch that actually interrupts my drop launch. Shark tries to catch its breath, and what a hit! I go flying into the extreme pocket. It is now 6-0 for my opponent. This is gonna be an absolute wash. I'm getting cooked. Making a comeback is next to impossible. You know what? Let me at least get on the board. It can't be a shutout. So one of the rules I mentioned was the loser pick sides. As of right now, I've been launching solely from the B side because it's my preferred side. I'm comfortable there. But on the flip side, so is my opponent. The X side was their preferred side. I took a pause before the reshuffle because I remembered a moment in my last tournament video where I made the top cut and I lost stubbornly to my opponent, who also preferred the X side. And throughout that match, I decided to stay on the B side because it felt like an advantage to me, which in hindsight obviously wasn't the case. Fast forward to today, I decided to flip the stadium. I'm down by 6, what else is there to lose? At least this way, even my opponent has to readjust and it breaks their flow and rhythm. We reshuffle our decks, and I, for obvious reasons, start with Wizard. If I want to stay alive, Wizard has the best chance at getting me on the board. Shark sends my Wizard flying around the stadium, but also sending itself into the pocket. That might have been its last good hit. Oh shit, you can never count Shark out. Ooh, okay, let's fucking go. I'm finally on the board. At least it won't be a shutout. Next, we have my hover versus Wizard Rod. This is gonna be make or break. I need to launch hard and true. I go for a false drop, meeting the Wizard in the middle. Dodge what could have been a game ender. Hover leads Wizard up and around the rail, setting up the cleanest extreme dash of the tournament. Moving on to my Shark versus Arrow Pegasus. Air contact, it's a redo. Double burst, it's a redo. This match is intense and we haven't even really started. Shark starts with a big hit, sending Arrow around for a counter. Oh, the pocket scare! A lot of stamina was lost. This might be the game. By the fucking gods, that timing! Ah, a pixel and a dream. I've clawed my way back from the brink of annihilation, tying the match at 6-6. If you called it, pat yourself on the back because we both go with Wizard Rod 160 Hexa. At this point, there's no strategy. I just let it rip. A very cathartic victory. Your boy got first place, and that means I qualify for the championship finals in December. That might be one of the craziest grand final comebacks I've ever witnessed. Being down 0-6 with my opponent at game point? Fucking gnarly. What a fun tournament. I think Faradine might be onto something here. I think Hover this time around took the MVP spot. It seemed to really hold it down. Wizard too, but that's kind of a given. Shark was a little more hit or miss. I think sometimes it didn't get a favorable matchup. But even then, it clutched out some amazing moments. But listen, I will say, this deck is sweaty as fuck. It's an absolute monster of a deck. And as much fun as it was, I think I'll stick to Golem until I feel like being tryhard again. Honestly, I don't have much else to say. Maybe a little shout out to you guys? We've reached 2K subs. I'll continue to do my best with this channel going forward, and I appreciate the community that's been being built. Y'all are warm, welcoming, and talkative, which I love. It's slow and steady, but we do our best and keep moving forward. Alright, you know the spiel. If you enjoyed this video, you already know what to do. Extreme dash that like button and hit the subscribe for more Beyblade videos. Until then, see ya!